Welcome back, everyone. Sports Underground back on the air. Mike and Kent with you again. It's been a while. Midpoint of the NFL season. Last time we talked, I believe we started the NFL with some previews, picks, that kinds of things. Hockey off to a great start. The Wild in the middle of a first-place run in the entire NHL. A little shocking on that. We've got some Twins news, a little bit. Losing Joe Nathan, still trying to re-sign Kadire. Not a lot to get excited about or really delve into. So mostly going to focus on the NFL, go back and look at what our preseason picks were, some of our fantasy players, and then dive into Wild, I guess, is where we're at.
Yeah, for once, well, happy Thanksgiving, first of all.
It is Thanksgiving Day, you're right.
I'm very full. But for once, I'm really proud of my Wild team. I didn't think they would be very good this year. I still dwell on that team of the past. It always kind of lets you down and doesn't really hold your interest, doesn't really capture your interest with a lack of goal scoring and the way they play. But this year has been a lot of fun, and it's due to the fact that they're winning and they're getting a new coach in there, some new blood, and it's been a lot of fun. Like I said, it's hard to explain. But
well, I know when we talked earlier in the summertime with the Wild, I know you predicted a playoff spot for them, you know, and so right now you're looking like a genius. I don't know if they're going to hold on to the #1 seed overall, but the young defenseman playing absolutely brilliantly to this point. Scandella missing a couple of games with a concussion. He came back last night. It just seems like when one piece goes down, they got another young guy to fill in, and all of a sudden you're looking, Greg Zanin, is there a place for him on this team? You know, blocks a lot of shots, not exactly the best puck mover in the world.
No, I'll bring that up. He's got his place on this team, yes. But it's about time some of these young defensemen that we keep drafting, keep acquiring, it finally starts paying off, because we always say build for the future, and it's finally come.
Well, I think they're in a good position right now when you look at them. You know, 2 years ago, there was no talent in this team at all. And all of a sudden, we've got a ton of young defensemen. They're all playing not max potential right now, but they're probably ahead of where I thought they would be, and probably a lot of the Wild brass thought they'd be at this point. And I think you ride these young guys out as long as you can. If one of them starts to falter, there's a place for a Zanin. Mike Lundin, he's still trying to come back from injury. Played for Tampa Bay last year. We haven't even seen him on the ice yet this year. But I don't really know that you can put Greg Zanin in a spot for some of these guys until they fail, because right now, Justin Falk, Spurgeon, and Scandella, I don't know that you could find 3 better defensemen in the NHL right now. You know, they each have their own thing they do. You've got Spurgeon, who's small but moves the puck, gets away from a lot of contact. I don't know how. And Falk's a bruiser. I mean, this guy just lays the lumber to people. And Scandella, offensively, he's not Brent Burns yet, but he's sort of taken over that role where he shoots the puck a lot on the power play, and he's kind of a bigger Brent Burns type of guy.
You can draw some parallels there, yeah, that's right. I do think if we got rid of Greg Zanin, I don't think I'd ever miss him.
Right.
You know, I think it'd be like, remember that guy a couple years ago blocking all those shots, what was his name? I think he'd be that kind of guy, but I think the Wild, what they really need, and to me, this is one of the biggest misses the Wild had this season. I was always a big Sheldon Surrey fan. I like the way he played in Montreal, any other places that he's been at. He had a falling out in Edmonton, didn't play at all last year, and finally shows up in Dallas and has had himself a really good year. I like how tough he is, I like how smart he is, I like how experienced he is, and I thought that was a guy that the Wild should have gone after, would fit really well here, and I think we'd have a spot for him. I really do.
Well, how much of that do you think was the Wild not wanting to overextend themselves with contracts because they were trying to get younger, and yes, they did make the big moves for Sedeguchi and Heatley, but I don't think they knew what they had. Brand new coach with Mike Yao, brand new system, another young coach, you know, no NHL experience. I don't know how much they thought this team was going to, they were going to get out of this team. And
let's not forget this team could be very well gun shy too. They ate some pretty big contracts with Havlat. I'm not saying they ate that contract. They somehow made it work out.
But the Kim Johnson signings, those kind of signings, yeah.
The Kim Johnson, Let's see how this Backstrom signing goes. That's a lot of money for a goalie. I'm just saying. I still don't like Pierre-Marc Bouchard. I still don't think he fits on this team for what we want to do. He's a good player, but I think he'd be a great player on another team, and I think we could get something for him.
Well, you watch him play in the power play, which has not been prolific at all. I believe they're ranked 28th in the NHL going into last night. Bouchard, they use him a lot in the power play, and he's supposed to be a great puck mover. But the puck movement on our power play is pretty stagnant.
Yeah.
And you look at offensively what we are doing or really not doing, the fact that we have the most points in the NHL is pretty amazing, because you've got to think that Heatley and Sedeguchi are going to get hot. Koivu finally came out of his shell the other night with the 2 goals and the shootout goal. So you got to think, if we can get 3-4 goals a game, the way they're playing, they're going to be tough. But it's nice to have
3 or 4 goals a game is a win. And is it scary to think that this maybe isn't Mikko Koivu's team anymore?
It is.
Is it?
They say it is.
Is it?
You know, they all say the right thing. Mikko's a leader in the locker room. All that stuff, and he probably is. But I see a lot. Setaguchi, Heatley, they're the face of the franchise as far as the fans, because there's a lot of people watching the Wild right now that. Yeah, they can tell you who Mikko Koivu was. If the guy was standing in this room though with 2 other Finns, they probably wouldn't know. I'll guarantee everyone can tell you what Setaguchi looks like, and everyone can tell you Danny Heatley looks like. And there's a lot of 15s, a lot of 10s in the crowd.
I like Heatley. I love Setaguchi for this team. I really think that's a good pickup.
Well,
that makes me think, and just think about it for a little bit. It makes me think Bouchard is expendable, and I think that would be a key cog to move. Should we need to make a trade at the deadline to shore up maybe a defense, to maybe get some depth at goaltending? I'm still not sold on Josh Harding. That guy makes me nervous, like Brad Johnson at quarterback. Okay,
right. It would be a good time to move him if you were going to, because you're never going to get better value than you are right now with that guy. Now, is he playing out of his mind? Yes, he definitely is. You like him playing now.
He's hot.
But when is an ego bad? When does something fall off the guy again? I understand your point.
It's been several seasons now that he's had some sort of issue. You're right. Now's the time to move him. You can. Like I said, just like finding a running back, you can always find a goaltender. Look at Theodore last year. You can always find one, you can pick one off a scrap heap, and they can always get hot.
Right.
You know what I mean?
I hear what you're saying, and going back to the Bouchard thing, I don't think if Bouchard was on a team, I don't think you'd miss him. I really don't.
I don't either.
And if you could move him, maybe move Zan. Lundin probably has no trade value because he hasn't played yet. Maybe move those guys, and I know we talked a little bit about how great the young defensemen are playing, but if you get towards playoff time, and I know we're a long way away from that, we're like a quarter way through the season, but how do these guys react in the playoffs? Probably wouldn't be a bad idea to have some kind of better than Greg Zanin talent level veteran defenseman to calm these guys down.
And it's hard to find the right guy for this situation, but this is a lot of overkill, especially for a team like the Wild. But think about a Chris Pronger type on that defense with all those kids in the playoffs playing 27 minutes a game and pointing things out and showing these kids what to do.
Well, Pronger's not going to. I mean,
obviously
he's not.
Obviously not. But I'm just saying, a guy like that who's got a ton of experience, maybe a little bit older, and who's well respected and good.
So who's that guy?
That's what I'm saying.
That's
what I'm saying.
Yeah, and I mean, right.
It might sound stupid. Is it a Willie Mitchell guy, kind of like that?
Yeah, that could be.
Something like that.
And close to the trade deadline, the Wild are typically not movers and shakers. I think Paul Simon, as I like to call him, was probably our biggest free agent or our trade deadline move ever. Chris Simon is obviously what I'm talking about. And
And Fedoruk.
Yeah, how that worked out. It didn't. So once we get close to the waiver trade deadline, maybe this is a year where we can make a move, and there are going to be some of those big physical defensemen who are going to be available. Pronger probably not one of them, but there's got to be a guy out there who's going to be that type.
And I'm saying teams like Chicago, Vancouver, a lot of teams in the East, maybe even Boston's, definitely Detroit. Those are the teams that are built for the long haul in the playoffs. What are we built for? I mean, are we going to be able to make it?
We don't know.
Noise? No, we don't. This is all new to us. But are we going to make some noise? We're going to stand up to the Chicagos and the Detroits in the playoffs. And
well, I think from our frontline talent, I'd like to see another goal scorer on this team. Latendresse, another concussion issue, not another, but injury issue. That scares me a little bit. He was playing very, very well before this, came on again.